Hello and welcome back to Maple Flavored Yoga. My name is Andy and today I'm practicing in my backyard. This class is going to be a moon salutation, so if that's new to you, that's totally okay. It's similar to a sun salutation, but we're going to be embodying more of that calming, cooling, feminine energy in this flow. This practice can be really wonderful for new moons or full moons, or maybe if you're practicing a little bit later in the day and you want to do a flow but you don't want to kick up too much energy, this is a really wonderful option as well. As always, if you haven't done so already, please give me that thumbs up, click the subscribe button so you won't miss any time I release a new video. These small actions help me get my videos out to other folks who are on their yogic journey, and I really, really do appreciate it. So, as always, we'll take a few moments to find our seat or any other comfortable position that feels best for you. And if it feels okay, you can close your eyes, but if you prefer, you can keep your eyes open and just have a soft gaze. Taking a moment to fully arrive on your mat, feeling your sit bones below you, your crown growing nice and tall, nice straight spine. If you'd like to set an intention or a sankalpa for this practice, you may do so. It could be something like, I'd like to bring grace into my practice, or understanding, anything that resonates with you. Taking a moment to bring awareness to our breath, breathing in and out of our noses. Notice what part of the body you're breathing into, if you're breathing a bit shallow, or maybe you're breathing into the heart space or down into the belly. Again, not trying to modify or change that, just simply bringing that awareness. Neither is good or bad or better than the other. So trying to remove that judgment or putting those labels onto things. If you'd like, you can put a hand over your navel and one on your heart. This can be good to bring you into the now. Feeling your chest or abdomen rise and fall with the inhale and exhale, trying to make it even. And start to bring the breath down into the belly. On the inhale, our belly inflates. The exhale relaxes back down. If at first getting that breath into the belly seems really difficult, or maybe it's just not working for you or not happening, that's okay. No worries. Just try. Maybe you're not there today, but planting that seed can be really beneficial. So following your breath here, you can bring your hands down to your knees if that feels okay. Just take a scan through the body to see how you're feeling, what your energy level is like, what your thought process is like, any emotions or sensations that you're feeling in your body. Noticing if you're holding tension somewhere, so try and find some softness. And if you're going, Andy, nothing's softening, that's okay. Some days we just don't, and that's all right. Again, dropping that expectation. From here, If your eyes were closed, you can blink them open, taking in the space around you. And then we're going to come into tabletop. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. So inhale, we look forward, nice long cervical spine, belly reaches for the mat. Exhale, we round, pushing the ground away, head can get heavy. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Feel free to make any additional movements, some swaying side to side if that feels good for you. And exhale, cat. You can shake your head yes and no, loosening up that cervical spine. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. When you inhale as well, you can kind of pull your hands and your knees together. That helps create a little bit of traction to open up into the thoracic spine and across the chest a little bit. Prevents us from dumping into the lumbar spine too much. A few more cat-cows here at your own pace. One more cat. Next inhale, we'll come to a neutral spine. So we're going to get into the got an upset squirrel over there. Going to get into the bulk of the flow, the moon salutation. So one thing that's kind of cool about the moon salutation is it mimics the moon from its new moon phase, and then the waxing into full moon, and then the waning back into the new moon. So we're going to be moving sideways on our mat, which is a little bit different. So to begin, if you're still in your downward facing dog, we can tuck our toes, if we're still in your tabletop, we're going to come into downward facing dog. So we can pedal our feet here. Being nice and gentle and tending the heels to the ground or the floor, but they don't have to reach the floor. Especially if it doesn't feel good, you can keep your knees bent here as well. We'll try and find some stillness and do a couple breaths. And from here, we can walk our feet up to the top of the mat, or you can step up to the top of the mat, however you'd like to get there. Coming into a ragdoll if that feels good. You can keep your hands on the ground, or you can cross your arms, swing side to side here. And again, we'll try and find some stillness. Allowing that natural opening through the back line of the legs. Next inhale, we'll ground down through our feet, inhaling arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. And we can turn to the side of the mat. So inhale, arms up, left hand grabs right wrist, bending over to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, bend over to the right. Inhale, center, stepping out into goddess pose. 3 breaths here. Inhale, we rise. We're going to come into triangle pose. So gliding forward to the top of the mat. Left hand finds shin or the floor. Right hand can come up, gazing over that thumb. 3 breaths here. Then we're going to come into pyramid pose, so you can pivot that back foot so it's at a 45-degree angle or whatever feels best for your knee. And you can step forward too if that feels best for you. Hands can come onto hips, thigh, shin, ground, whatever feels best for you. You can also use blocks here if you have them. 3 breaths. Bending that front knee, back knee comes down onto the ground, coming into a low lunge. 3 breaths here. Opening to the side of the mat, we're going to come into a side lunge. Extended leg, toes come up to the ground. You can keep your hands on the ground here. Or coming into a prayer pose. Again, you can also have blocks if that feels better. Also, you can sit on a block here too if it feels like you're unstable. And you can come up into the ball of your foot as well. Or flat foot if you have very flexible ankles. And then low lunge onto the other side. Appreciating each side is going to have a bit different requirements. More tension or less tension. And then we come into low lunge on this side. Arms can come up. They can also come to your hips or onto your thigh if that feels better. Hands can come down, back knee lifts, coming into that pyramid pose on the other side. Opening up into triangle pose. Inhaling, coming back up, coming into goddess. I don't know what that little bug is. Hey, man. Stepping to the back of the mat now. Arms come up and over. Right hand grabs left wrist. Bend to the side. Inhale, center. Bend to the other side. Inhale, center. Exhale, hands can come down into prayer pose. So now we have to do that same thing the opposite way. So we're halfway done one round. So inhale, arms up. Bend to the back of the mat. Inhale, center, bend to the center of the mat. Inhale, center, exhale, stepping into goddess pose. 3 breaths here. Inhale, we rise, coming into that triangle pose towards the back of the mat. And then to pyramid pose, making any adjustments so that you feel stable. Bending into that front leg, back knee comes down, inhaling, arms up, or onto hips or onto thigh. Hands come down, opening up to the side, side lunge. Hands can come down, shifting weight to the other side, side lunge here. Hands come down, we face the front of the mat, coming into a low lunge here once again. Then we'll make our way to pyramid pose. And then into triangle pose. So you don't have to make your stance wider here. You don't want to, whatever feels best for you. inhale, we rise, and we're going to come back into Goddess. Stepping to the front of the mat. Arms are up over the head. Tilt to the front of the mat. Inhale, center. Tilt to the center of the mat. Inhale, center. Exhale, hands can come down into prayer pose. And that's one round. It can be a little bit confusing at first, but once you get the flow down, it's actually very, very lovely practice. So we'll do that a few more times. So don't worry if you're like, what am I doing? Where am I going? We'll get there. So inhale, arms up. Tilt to the front of the mat. Inhale, center. Tilt to the back of the mat. Inhale, center. Goddess pose. Whew, almost fell over there. Yeah, if you fall over, it's okay, man. We all fall over. Straighten the legs. Triangle. Making our way into pyramid. Low lunge. We'll come into that side lunge. Side lunge on the other side. Low lunge facing the back of the mat. Inhale, arms up. Making our way into pyramid pose. Into triangle pose. Inhale, we'll rise and make our way into Goddess. And then stepping to the back of the mat, inhaling, arms up. Tilt to the back of the mat. Inhale, center, and then tilt to the back or center of the mat. Inhale, center, exhale, hands come down into prayer pose. Inhale, arms up. Tilt to the back of the mat. Inhale, center, exhale, center mat. Inhale, center, Goddess pose. And then triangle pose. And then pyramid pose. Low lunge. And then side lunge. Side lunge on the other side. Low lunge to the front of the mat. Pyramid pose. Triangle pose. Goddess. And step to the front of the mat. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bend to the front. Inhale, center, bend to center. Inhale, center, exhale, arms down. Hands to heart center. Close your eyes if that feels okay, and just see how your body's feeling. Hopefully you're feeling good. Hopefully you're finding a bit of a flow. It takes a little bit of time though, so no worries. You also have the option of holding each pose for longer. I like 3 breaths. You could do it 5 breaths though, or maybe if you wanted to just do 1 breath, that would be really fast. But yeah, feel free if you're practicing on your own to make each pose longer or shorter, depending on how it feels in your body. So we will do 1 more round of that. So inhale, arms up, bend to the front of the mat. Inhale, center, exhale to the center of the mat. Inhale, center, coming into goddess. 3 breaths here, or whatever amount of time you'd like to stay. Inhale, we'll straighten our legs and then we'll make our way into triangle pose. And then make our way to pyramid. Low lunge. Low side lunge. Low side lunge on the other side. Low lunge facing the back of the mat. Pyramid pose. Triangle pose. Inhale, we'll make our way to goddess once again. Step to the back of the mat, arms come up, bend to the back of the mat. Inhale, center, bend to the center of the mat. Inhale, center, exhale, hands come down into prayer pose. Inhale, arms up, bend to the back of the mat. Inhale, center, bend to the center of the mat. Inhale, center, step back into goddess. Inhale, we'll rise, making our way into triangle. And then into pyramid pose. And into low lunge. And then side lunge. Side lunge on the other side. A low lunge facing the front of the mat. Pyramid pose. Triangle pose. Inhale to standing and then into goddess. Step to the front of the mat, inhale up, bend to the front of the mat. Inhale, center, exhale to the center of the mat. Inhale, center, exhale, hands come down into heart space. Again, just take a moment to see how your body's feeling. And then from here, we can just turn to the front of the mat, coming into mountain pose for a moment. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhale, hands heart center. Bringing our feet a little bit wider than our hips. Toes are kind of pointed out at a 45-degree angle. We're going to come into Malasana or yogi squat or garland pose. So sinking the hips back and down. You can sit on a block here, or you can bring your hands behind you, or coming into the prayer pose with elbows pushing slightly into the inner knee. Head is still nice and long, flat back. And then we will bring our hands behind us. Our seat will find the ground, and we'll roll down onto our spines. Right ankle can come across the left thigh, come into a figure 4. So if you'd like, you can stay here, or you can start to bring that left knee into the chest to open up through the glute and the hamstrings and the hip. You can grab behind the thigh or over the shin if that feels okay. Closing your eyes and taking a few breaths here if that feels all right. We can release down, and then we're going to take that leg and just keep sliding it over so that our legs are crossed. Arms are going to come out and legs will drop over to the left, coming into a spinal twist. If it feels okay, you can look over your right shoulder. Again, if it feels all right, you can close your eyes or try and keep a soft gaze. Breathing into the belly here. Inhale slowly back to center, uncross our legs. Right foot will find the floor, left ankle will find right thigh. I had to think what I was trying to say. I was going to say shin. I was like, that's not right. So once again, you can stay here if you'd like, or you can start to bring that right knee into the chest. If it feels okay, you can grab behind the thigh or the shin. Also, if you have a strap or a towel or a blanket or something that you want to wrap around your shin to assist here as well, that can be a really lovely way to do that. Or if you're by a wall, you can also put your foot up on the wall or a couch or anything like that. Acknowledging any areas that feel tight. On the inhale, we'll try and create space in those areas. On the exhale, try and soften and let go. Maybe nothing will move, and that's okay. We can release that leg down, sliding that left leg farther over. Arms can come out to the sides, dropping the knees to the right, looking over that left shoulder if that feels okay. Inhaling, making our way back to center. You can give yourself a hug if that feels okay. And then we're going to prepare for Shavasana, so you can either bring your feet a little bit wider than your hips and then let your knees fall in on each other. That might feel better for your low back. Or if you'd like, you can extend your legs out, palms facing up by your sides. Take a few minutes to make sure, a few seconds or whatever, to make sure that every part of your body has the required space that it desires. So nothing feels tight or crunched or anything like that. Feel free to grab a blanket or pillow or an eye pillow if that helps you. When you have a moment, and if it feels okay, you can close down the eyes, release any control that you had of the breath. If thoughts arise, that's okay. Our minds are created to think, so it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. But just try and not entertain the thought. Let it pass by like a cloud in the sky. But if you feel as though there is some insight that you can gain from that thought process, maybe that's a message that you're meant to receive. So this is also a safe space to explore these thoughts as well. Check to see if you're holding tension in areas of your body that you can let go of. So maybe your abdomen's feeling tight, or your jaw, maybe your brow is kind of furrowed, or your shoulders are a little closer to your ears, so if they can be drawn down or relaxed. Just trying to give your body a all over relaxing exhale. If you're ready to come out of your Shavasana, you can begin to introduce some deeper breaths into your body, some small movements, like wiggling your fingers and your toes. And give yourself a great big stretch like you do in the morning. And then one at a time, you can bring your knees to your chest and give yourself a hug, or you can windshield wiper your knees from side to side, whichever feels better for you. Eventually rolling to whichever side feels best. Taking a moment or two there. And making your way back to your seat, keeping your eyes closed or having a soft gaze. And when you arrive to your seat, once again, we'll take a moment to acknowledge whatever our experience is. So seeing what your physical body sensations are, what your emotions are like, what your thoughts are like, what your energy level is. And again, just allowing it to be without trying to change or modify that. We can bring our hands to heart center, bowing our heads. Taking a moment to send gratitude to ourselves for coming to practice. It's not always easy, but when we invest in ourselves, we in turn are also investing in all those around us. I want to thank you so much for allowing me to assist in your yoga practice. And know that wherever this life takes you, that you are seen, you are loved, and you are divine. Thank you. Take care.